Hello everybody, welcome. Today I'm going to be doing my third unpopular opinions video. This time we're going to be focusing on makeup and YouTube. I love doing these videos, not gonna lie. It's really fun for me, really interesting. I think that this topic was like super popular, I'd say about a year ago. Since then it has like sort of trickled away in popularity, but I don't know about you. I love doing unpopular opinions videos, so that's where we're going to be filming one today. The first unpopular opinion that I have is mispronouncing names in certain words doesn't matter. And I do think that it's important to remain as knowledgeable as possible about how to pronounce certain words, certain phrases, especially when you are talking about vocabulary in any given language. If you're speaking your first language and you are mispronouncing something, obviously I think that it should be corrected. I have definitely mispronounced several words in the English language, and in some cases I had to check myself and verify that I was pronouncing them correctly, because sometimes when you try to expand your vocabulary, you can't pronounce every single thing correctly. So it's important to try and correct yourself and learn from your mispronunciation mistakes, you know? But when it comes to the beauty industry, you have so many people with different names. You have a lot of different brands that don't necessarily have very easy pronunciations or very obvious pronunciations. You have influencers with unusual handles or unusual names, and I'm sorry, but I don't think it should be that important to pronounce these brands or these names, and I don't understand why people feel the need to I would say correct somebody. I don't think it's that important to pronounce certain influencers' names or certain brands' names correctly, because I feel like it's one thing when you're talking about a language, it's another thing when you're talking about this industry. With so many names going around and with so many different people involved in the industry, it's, I think, a little bit difficult to find out exactly how to pronounce somebody's name. And for example, there's like an influencer that has and I don't think that it should be made, and I don't think it should be such a big deal if somebody doesn't pronounce somebody else's name correctly. You know, obviously it's a name, but especially if you have like a weird handle or like a interesting and yes, I do understand that it's important to try and pronounce people's names, but guess what? In this industry, we have so many people, we have so many brands, we have so many different spellings and unusual, I would say, letterings floating around. And I will say that sometimes you have a, I would say, interesting handle or interesting username that is difficult to pronounce that an influencer might be going by. And if you don't pronounce it just right, I don't think it should be made such a big deal out of. And there are people who really harp on those who mistakenly mispronounce an influencer's name or a brand name or even colors in palettes. And my thought process whenever I look at that or whenever I experience that is, why does it matter? And whenever I see certain people getting critiqued for mispronouncing somebody's name or mispronouncing somebody's handle or brand name, or whenever I experience it myself, the first thought that pops into my head is, I don't have the time to be checking myself all the time. You know, like if I'm giving you certain information in a video that I think is super important, I try and double check that. If I'm planning a video, I try to do so in a really detailed and a really constructive way. If I'm filming a video, I want to film the best video. If I edit, I want to take time and I want to do it correctly. But if there is 1 second in a video in which I'm mispronouncing somebody's name or I can't pronounce somebody's handle, it shouldn't necessarily matter, because I can't know each and every single person's name. It's just impossible, especially when there's so many different pronunciations floating around, and especially when I don't even watch that person. The next one is, pores are not as unattractive as the industry wants us to believe. Marketing is a big thing in this industry, and it's a little bit saddening to me how much negativity is directed towards large pores. We all have pores. If you have skin cells, you have pores. That's a natural thing, and you need pores for your skin to function. So my thing is, whenever I look at my own pores, I'm like, okay, yeah, they're big, they're there, but it's not a big deal. But whenever I see so much emphasis on just erasing pores or minimizing pores, I always think, why though? You know, I understand minimizing pores and some products do that quite well, but I definitely think that emphasizing pores so much in this industry is just a waste of time because we all have pores. Some of us have bigger pores, some of us have smaller pores, but pores are inherently part of our DNA and we cannot change them as much as some of us would like to. And I think that pores are something that should be a little bit more accepted in advertising campaigns and on the internet in general. That's why in a lot of my Instagram photos, my Instagram, by the way, I'll put it on the screen, it's Anushka MUA if you're interested in checking out my makeup account, but my Instagram is filled with photos that I do not edit my pores on. I do not edit my pores on my Instagram. I just like to leave them as they are because I know that they are a part of me, and I recognize that no matter how much I try to edit a photo, my pores will still be there in real life, and why do I have to basically try to conceal that fact from the internet? Self-tanner sounds like a nightmare. I get that self-tanner is great for so many people. A lot of people really, really love self-tanner. However, like I cannot imagine wearing self-tanner all the time. It sounds like a nightmare for me, and I know that's me like overreacting, but oh my gosh, the commitment in terms of time, energy, and money that you have to put to do a self-tanning routine or to learn how to do it properly. It just sounds like such a bore, and it just sounds like a lot of time. And I do know that a lot of you guys self-tan, and I have seen a lot of you guys' videos, and I really I think that it looks great on you, and I think that self-tanner in general looks great. But do I want to do it all myself? No, because it just sounds like something I don't want to take part in, and whenever I look at self-tanning routines on the internet, I'm like, oh my gosh, number one, why did I click on this video? And number two, that sounds like a lot of work, and I don't have time or energy for that, so no thank you. The next one is my makeup is a part of me, not the definition. Now, I think that this is definitely not going to be that much of an unpopular opinion with a lot of you, because if you guys watch my channel on a regular basis, you guys understand where I'm coming from with this makeup, with this makeup love, with this love for makeup. You guys appreciate makeup. You guys know that I consider my makeup to be an art. I consider it to be something that I really enjoy doing. But I think that the unfortunate fact is that if you live in a smallish town in North Texas in the US, you are not necessarily going to be surrounded by people who are, I would say, very open to something that they don't consider as being typical. And I've definitely seen this, and I can apply it to so many different examples. Whenever I would say do like a particularly colorful makeup look, or whenever I wear glitter, or whenever I even wear false lashes, which is not that often, but sometimes I like to play around, and I go out in public, I go out in certain areas of my life, and I see people or I hear about people looking at my makeup as being abnormal in a negative way. And I think that's unacceptable. And yes, I know it's just makeup, and there are other ways that people can be very unaccepting and very not understanding, but I think that there are so many other things that you can be doing other than basically judging other people by what makeup they're wearing. And I think it's ridiculous. You do not have to like my makeup, you do not have to look at it as being attractive, but there are two things that you need to understand. Number one, I am not forcing this makeup on you. I am not pinning you down and putting makeup on you so you can stay in your own lane. My face is my own, and I can do whatever I want to it. And the second thing is my makeup is a part of me, but it is not the definition of me, and I have so many different parts of myself besides just makeup. The other thing is, highlight is more attractive on camera than in real life. I'm not wearing highlight on my face today because I am going somewhere after I film this video, but I definitely do think that when it comes to highlight on camera versus highlight on real life, highlighting products generally look so much better on camera than they do in real life. Because in real life, whenever you put a highlighting product on, or whenever you put like a certain amount of highlight on, you just automatically emphasize a lot of texture, a lot of like just imperfections on your skin, and in general, highlight on the skin, it's very difficult to find a highlight formula and technique and method of application, I would say, that looks super, super flattering on everyone. And I think that it's important to realize that yes, highlight is so much fun. And yes, highlight is so much fun. I love highlight. Like, I mean, you guys have seen my highlight collection. I love experimenting with different highlights. I love to include it in some of my more like just colorful makeup looks. But I will say that I love the look of highlight on camera, but in real life, not so much, because I have a lot of like texture on my skin, and sometimes I feel like certain formulas of highlight, they accentuate that. And I definitely will say that, especially if I'm not wearing foundation, which happens to me a lot. I just don't like wearing foundation on a day-to-day basis, just in general, and putting highlight on top of skin when you're not already wearing foundation can look a little bit, I would say, jarring, because sometimes highlights don't blend as seamlessly on bare skin as they would on top of foundation. So that is definitely an unpopular opinion, but I just feel like highlight in general looks so much better on camera than it does in real life. Not that I won't wear highlight in real life, but I just wear highlight a lot more often on camera than I do in my day-to-day life. Imperfect makeup looks are, in some cases, more appealing than perfect makeup looks. And I will say that I absolutely just find myself obsessed with just looking and learning from really talented artists in the industry, and those artists have like this insane ability to literally put out looks that look almost perfect. But I will say that my favorite makeup looks on Instagram, in real life, wherever, are the makeup looks that have some degree of imperfection attached to them. Some of my favorite people to follow on Instagram are the people who just look at makeup as being a genuine art form, the people who accept that sometimes makeup can look so much more interesting when it's done in an imperfect way. I look at my own face and I look at my own makeup as being not symmetrical, being unsymmetrical, not being symmetrical. I'm not sure how to say that, but I look at my own face as being far from symmetrical, and my makeup reflects that. Like, I can't look at my face and create a makeup look that is like symmetrical, that is perfect. I can't necessarily say that I have the skill set to achieve perfect makeup on myself, and I also can say that I'm okay and I actually do like looking at my own makeup on my face and seeing a look that is just a touch imperfect. I find that that's very exciting, and it's honestly kind of a little bit more interesting. And I do feel like it's important to accept that imperfection does exist in so many aspects of life. It exists in nature, it exists in our day-to-day life, so why not accept it and have it exist in makeup as well? Rainbow palettes are boring AF. Oh my goodness. Okay, wait, let me just adjust the way I'm sitting so I can sit in a more comfortable way. When I first started getting into colorful makeup, I do admit, I bought like a few rainbow palettes because I found that those palettes were great for me, because at the time I didn't have colorful makeup in my collection. But now that I've been sort of getting a lot more into color, now that I've built up a collection that is consisting of a lot of colorful makeup products, I've realized that rainbow palettes are inherently boring to me. And the reason is that rainbow palettes, in my mind, consist of very sporadic and very just random arrays of colors that seem to be just thrown into a palette and sold just like that. For example, a rainbow palette can include a red, a purple, a pink, a yellow, an orange, a green, basically all colors of the rainbow, but just all colors of the rainbow with no gradient attached. In my mind, an interesting colorful makeup look does include a lot of different colors, but for me, I prefer working with different gradients of different shades. I don't know about you, but whenever I do a look featuring any just amount of colors, I prefer to be working with several different shades and finishes of said color. So having a rainbow palette is essentially not the best thing for me because I find that I feel so limited because I feel like the only makeup looks that I can create with those kinds of palettes are makeup looks that are very, I would say, sporadic and rainbow themed in and of themselves. And personally, I find a color story to be more interesting and more compelling when it looks a little bit edited, when it looks thought out, and when there is keyword a color story attached to it. And I think that a rainbow color story is definitely not the most interesting one, and honestly, it's just not one that I want to just invest in. I much prefer palettes that have a select group of shades that look to be very thought out, that have a variety of finishes, undertones, etc. And I find that that's a little bit more interesting than just doing a rainbow palette. Sorry, my video cut off right there, but moving on to the next unpopular opinion that I have. Nose contour is more beneficial for the person who is wearing it rather than anyone else. We all, at some point, I think, have had some kind of insecurity attached to our noses. I myself distinctly remember the day that I realized that my nose wasn't perfectly straight, symmetrical, or thin. I was standing in front of the bathroom mirror and I looked at my nose and I looked at it from the side and I decided that it was ugly. And I decided that I wanted to change it. And gradually I did realize that you can do a rhinoplasty, and I was like, okay, when I'm gonna like grow up, I'm gonna do like a nose surgery. I'm gonna fix my nose. And like I was 11, 12 at this time. And then gradually as I became a little bit more interested in makeup, I was like, okay, I can do this thing called nose contouring. And I did it, and I felt like it made my nose look so much better. So I just kept on doing it. But then I realized that, see, the thing is, contouring can change a lot, but it can't necessarily make a huge difference. Contouring in general and nose contouring specifically, I think that whenever we do it or whenever we use it, it's more beneficial for the person who's wearing it. Because whenever you have something like an imperfect nose or anything related to like an imperfection on your face, chances are the person who has that imperfection is the only person that actually notices it or acknowledges it. I don't think that anybody I encounter in my day-to-day life cares about my nose whatsoever. And it did take a while for me to learn to love the way my nose looked, and I definitely say that right now. I do not want a rhinoplasty. I'm actually quite proud of my nose because I feel like it just, I mean, it's my dad's nose and I feel very sentimental about that, but I just feel like, I mean, nose contouring on me anyway, it doesn't make that big of a difference. And I feel like whenever I used to do nose contouring, it was a lot more obvious to me than anyone else. Anyone else probably looked at my face and saw no difference when it came to my nose whatsoever, because guess what? People don't necessarily care about other people's noses. You know what I mean? Unless they're jerks. But like, in your day-to-day life, who looks at your nose with the same magnifying glass that you yourself do? So that's why, bringing back to my point, nose contouring is definitely more beneficial for the self-esteem or for the self-confidence for the person who is doing the nose contouring on themselves, and everybody else just doesn't care enough to notice. That's just how it is. People care more about you than what your nose looks like. And if they don't care about you and instead they choose to focus on what your nose looks like, you need to hang around with more interesting people. Because the people that are telling you that your nose looks bad are the people that don't really care about who you are inside. And guess what? We can put all the makeup that we want on the outside, but what matters is on the inside. It's a cliche, but it's the truth. Body glitters are not a thing. I don't get why brands want us to believe that they are. I was at the store the other day and I was looking in the makeup section, just perusing around, seeing what was new and seeing what was not. And I have been seeing a lot of glitters that are being sold. And I would say 80 to 90% of the glitters I see in person at the store are marked as body glitters or not safe around the eye area, which of course is something that you should be paying attention to. However, I don't get why that there are so many body glitters being offered when not a lot of people wear body glitters. Like, I think the only time people really wear body glitters is when it's like festival season, and not everybody's going to festivals all the time. So I don't get why brands are trying to like just push out these body glitters when I don't think anybody really cares about them. Like when is the last time you wore a body glitter? I haven't worn a body glitter like ever. The only thing I wear like when it comes to glitter is glitter on my like eyelid area, and in that case I only wear eye safe glitter, and I always use a glitter glue. But when it comes to body glitters, I don't wear body glitters. I don't know anyone who does wear body glitters on a regular basis, and if they do wear body glitters, they do so like annually or semi-annually. But I just don't get why brands feel the need to devote so much time to releasing body glitters when I don't think a lot of people are buying them. Those are all my unpopular opinions that I have so far. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you found this video entertaining and or interesting. Let me know what you think of these opinions down below. Do you have any unpopular opinions of your own? Do you disagree with my unpopular opinions? Give me your thoughts down below and I'll get back to you. But thank you so much for watching and staying with me till the end, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye guys.